YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Buddha back in the building for another Last Cloudia unit showcase. We're just on a roll running through these unit showcases, but I wanted to give some highlight to another permanent unit. The last one we did was Murrin, but today I was talking about him, I think in the last live stream we did. SGoroth, aka GOROTH the Insatiable, is a unit that came out pre-5-star, then got his 5-star awakening, and it absolutely transformed him, even in today's standard. Still an incredibly useful and fun unit to run if you have him. Some people started out with him as their initial unit, and I mean, look at his design. If you're any kind of horror or Halloween fan, this guy's gonna grab your eye. His pixel sprite is dope and fun to just run around the battle map with. I mean, he's definitely a standout unit, but his kit also lends him some brownie points in many ways. So I want to give him the highlight for a couple of different reasons, but usually we start these videos by unlocking a unit's ward. However, it's been a while since I've had this guy enhanced all the way, so we're skipping that part and just going to jump straight into the summary. We've got him level 110 out of 110, 120 board out of 120, 4th Awaken, 96 SC to play with, and GOROTH is the creature type, and as we know, being non-human can lend yourself some advantages in certain scenarios in terms of avoiding slayers. However, for GOROTH, unfortunately in this case, being a creature type, Brute Slayer is a pretty common group slayer for a lot of modern DPS to have nowadays. And in the Vase fight, where we know human types can't really touch it, neither can brute types. You can only fight Vase with god types, machine types, spirits, undead, and I think 2 other ones. However, GOROTH does not fall under those categories. So creature type, while it is unique, it's definitely not serving him too much in today's current game. Looking at the stats though, look at that HP stat. Man is starting with a base HP stat of 10,000 and an STR stat of 1,400, which is very respectable and is telling us what he's going to be. I mean, you can tell by the giant axe. We've got another PDPS slash tankish bruiser, I would say more bruiser type of unit, just based off of that initial stat spread. Looking at resistances, he's got some good resistances to everything except light, which he's very weak to. Ailments, nil to poison, neutral to blind, weak to silence, curse, resistant to stun, and nil to illness. So you definitely want to keep him from getting cursed. However, his other ailment resistances lend him a hand very well. Looking at the abilities or the skills, the S1 King Cleaver, medium area dart combo attack, skill 2 Swallowing, frontal medium area dart combo attack, chance to inflict poison, and S3 Tenderizer, pull in a wide area of enemies for a dart combo attack with an uppercut attack damage cap of plus 5,000. Very fun and interesting skills we'll see in battle. The special Gluttonous Chewing, powerful dart combo attack to all enemies, inflict poison on enemies, and very greatly recover unit HP. Now, this special, while it doesn't say anything specific in the description, is extremely valuable. Hopefully I'll find a scenario to showcase why when we get into the in-battle showcases, but that special is definitely something you want to keep note of. Moving on to the traits. The trait 1, Tyrant's Stomach. For each enemy defeated, HP cap plus 15%, recover 20 seconds of SCT, if tasty, STR plus 15%, physical damage cap plus 1600, max HP gets up to 75%, strength up to 75%, and damage cap plus 8,000. This does reset each wave. So this, based off the first trait 1, when you're fighting groups of enemies, GOROTH is going to be a very fun unit. Trait 2, Insatiable Hunger. If no enemy is defeated for a time, gain Insatiable, which gives you a constant HP drop, but you move faster, physical damage plus 70%, and damage cap plus 8,000. This is lost if incapacitated or defeats an enemy. So his trait 2 and trait 1 are designed to balance each other out. The trait 1, he's very happy if you're fighting multiple enemies, getting kills, racking up those extra bonus stats. And if you are fighting one unit and not killing them quickly, you're eventually going to get this constant HP drain. However, he's still going to get bonuses after a certain amount of time. I believe that certain amount of time, if I'm recalling correctly, is 30 seconds. So it's not a quick acquisition for his trait 2 to activate. However, it's nice that he has some kind of counterbalance to just wanting to beat mobs, multi-group enemies. Also, to clarify, in the trait 1, tasty enemies constitute bird, beasts, and fish type enemies. So it's a grouping of 3 typings that classify tasty enemies. Looking at the innate skills, we can see that he comes with some HP ups, benefiting his already huge HP base stat. Fighting Spirit 4, also giving 10% to STR and more HP. He does have Creature Mastery. When a unit has Creature type, gives anti-Spirit typing for all forms of damage. But then on top of that also has Brute Slayer innately, so giving him 7 effective Slayers. We just went over Shift Balin, who has 10. Shift GOROTH, being as old as he is, coming in with 7 innate slayers is a great thing, and special boost, given that plus 100% complete anti-damage. Poison Research, regular attacks have a chance to inflict poison. We also saw he has a chance to inflict poison with his S2. He's got a little bit of status ailment worked within his kit. However, in my opinion, it's still not quite enough for him to be as effective as like a Melee or a Logia. He's just kind of like a Joker, in my opinion, where they tried to give him some ailment in his kit, but it's just not enough. If he would have had ailment spamming on all 3 of his skills and maybe some more researches, then maybe we're talking something, but just this little poison gimmick, it's not enough to warrant a really fun and proper ailment spamming build, in my opinion. Corrosion Fang, also giving him this plus 20% when you're regular attacking enemies. It's a debuff you can inflict onto them. Auto Brave, nice to come with, and Auto Haste. Fury 2, close to death strength, plus 30%. I see this as working with his Insatiable gimmick when he's draining his own HP to get those bonuses. Comes with Dark Drive and Dark High Drive. I think he was released before there were any Mega Drives, so it's still very nice that he has both of these modifiers in his kit. Dark Attack Raise 2, another great mod. And then here we can see the Terramelth and Terramelth 2 in his kit again. You can build him for status ailments, but it's just not, it doesn't quite hit the mark, in my opinion, for the best way to build him. Magic Damage Healing 2 and Magic Damage Healing 3 he has, so I think in GOROTH's lore, he's very resilient to magic damage, so that's what these skills are playing off of. Is it super effective? I don't think so. Axe High Boost. We see he has a giant axe. Nice to see a unit that's playing off of a different weapon rather than swords. Slice Dice Julienne. Axe equipped boost skill damage cap based on hit count. This gets up to 40% and plus 2,000 at 50 hits or more. One of the big criticisms that a lot of us had with Shift GOROTH before the 5-star buff was that so many of his caps were conditional in his trait. One, he has to get kills to get more cap, or he has to not get kills and wait 30 seconds before he gets cap. In this skill, he has to have a certain hit count to reach this amount of cap, so his damage cap is all over the place depending on the situation, which just doesn't ever feel as good. You can't make proper damage calculations when things are as inconsistent as he is. However, with his 5-star buff, he did get some great boosts to help him still feel really good with all of these conditional caps happening all over the place. He does have Break Boost, Breaker, and Destroyer, and I'm pleased to announce that it's not so much a lie with Shift GOROTH here. He does have really good innate break damage, which is the determining factor of a true breaker. The invisible thing that you actually can't see. Very counterintuitive, but he does do substantial breaking. We just went over Murren. I don't think he's on Murren level. However, he is going to be breaking a lot more than your average unit if you notice and use him. Giant Killing 2, skill and special damage, plus 20% and damage cap, 2,000 to boss monsters. Cooking, wave 1, special gauge, plus 50%, special damage cap, plus 3,000, and add tasty type, as you can see, beast, fish, and bird, to enemy hit by special. I'm just going to kind of spoil it right here. What's so amazing about Shift GOROTH special is not only can you make all the units that you hit with it anti-type effective for GOROTH, but the special groups enemies together. And the more you play Last Cloudia, the more you're going to realize how useful anything that groups enemies into the center is. So this skill right here is honestly something that makes GOROTH truly special, coupled with his special. He groups the enemies together, basically makes sure they're all anti-type effective for him, and then enables so many different damage dealing strategies. Hardy Eater, physical damage cap plus 2,000, and physical damage to guarding enemies plus 120%. You might think, oh, bring him an arena. I'm just going to slow you down right there. This is not an arena unit, FYI. Ingest penalty against enemies with 50% HP or less. Physical damage, physical and special damage plus 35%, and physical/special damage cap plus 2,000. So again, another conditional damage cap. The enemies have to be less than 50%. And finally, Meat Dinner. At battle start, when defeating an enemy, get a buff to sometimes very greatly restore HP. Buff ends if total HP restored exceeds max unit HP. I might have to read that again. I didn't quite understand that just now. Basically, you can have a chance to recover HP at the battle start or when you kill an enemy, is what this does. I think this will come in handy. Anything very greatly restoring HP is going to be useful in the HP recovery department, but obviously it's a chance, so that's not just happening all the time. But that's going to do it for Shift GOROTH's kit, and for a physical DPS, he checks off a lot of boxes. While it be conditional, he has a lot of nice damage modifiers, the dark drives, dark attack rays. If you want to go with the ailment spamming, I just don't recommend it, but he does have those built innately. Axe, High Boost, and Slice Dice, whatever this is. He's a great breaker, which is just invaluable for many different cheesing and general damaging strategies. He's got some nice slayers built in innately. He's got SCT regeneration essentially built into his trait. Getting 20 seconds of SCT per kill is absolutely nasty when you're taking on multi-enemy waves. And he's got some interesting ways of self-sustaining, this Meat Dinner being one of them. Having a huge HP pool is going to make him inherently tanky in some shape or form, so we do need to add some things to him, right? He'll definitely, I think, still need help with damage mods to reach damage caps, and then if we're going to use things like Sharp Eyes, we'll definitely need more MP recovery, and then Proud Force he doesn't have innately dual wield, we're obviously going to want to take advantage of with him being a physical type DPS. So now I'm going to create some builds for GOROTH, take him into some battles, and showcase why he can be such an asset for any account. Alright, here we go. Chapter 6-9, Encroaching Dead. General DPS build on Shift GOROTH. You can see I am running the Arena Coliseum, Aldana Coliseum arc on him. We just saw this in the Shift Balin showcase, but for these solo runs in Chapter 6-9, you really need some assistance when some of these units don't have super armor, I've come to find out. So you saw it was a little bit painful to get through that first wave, but we don't even have Pirate's Feast or anything. Our man Shift GOROTH has full skill stocks after getting all of those kills. Turns out 20 seconds of SCT for each stock per kill is quite insane. Again, like we talked about for these multi-enemy, multi-wave content. So, dude has a ton of SCT sustain built into him. That's why he's, I think, such a fan favorite for me and a lot of other veterans with his 5th enhancement buff. But you can see his skills. They are fun, but you do have to use them a bit strategically. That S3, while it does shoot these enemies up into the air for a very comical effect, it can be a bit of a nuisance if you're not in the enemy range or if it's just outside. It does draw enemies in within a certain radius, but if they're just a centimeter outside of that radius, your GOROTH is just going to be standing there like a dunce until the end of the animation. But here we go on the boss wave. So here's a huge L for your boy Buddha. Turns out non-flinching enemies, guess what, can't be drawn in by that special. I explained how useful that special can be to group enemies and then just DPS burst them down. I thought I could do that here, and then got a rude awakening. Even though I know that this stage is very no flinch, very attack spammy. Luckily with Aldana Coliseum, we were able to just brute force our way through this with Shift GOROTH, but pretty respectable damage. These are very, very high defense enemies, so with all of those kills, he was able to build up that damage mod, damage cap in order to look really good towards the end there. Moving into a fight I am actually excited to showcase. This is Shift GOROTH and Shift Gorm as the Allure tank, but as a solo DPS carry in this fight. Now, I talk about how this is kind of an end game, entry level fight. I think towards the end of this video, but the fact that you can use GOROTH to essentially solo this thing on your own goes a long way. Another fail we're going to watch your boy Buddha accomplish here. So you can see I just spent the majority of time charging up the special. I wanted to group all of these spirits together and just kill them at the same time. Well, guess what? That can't happen because they are also non-flinching enemies. So here I realize, okay, we got to go kill them one at a time. However, it's still not the end of the world because of Shift GOROTH's trait. While Galanova's draining SCT with this weird special that it does, the fact that we get so much SCT charge actually sets GOROTH up. It sets him in a very nice position to take each one of these out one at a time and then have very nice stocks in order to start taking down Galanova's health, which by this time he's killed 6 enemies. He's built up his traits quite well, and you see some very respectable damage caps, respectable damage for this fight in general. And this 2-man party can serve as a very, very reliable way to clear this stage altogether. Shift Gorm, being the crazy Allure tank that he is, helps immensely. Look at Shift GOROTH's HP stat, by the way. Not only does he get damage cap, SCT, and damage mods from getting enemy kills, but he also gets HP cap. Very unique thing to him, and super fun to just watch his HP rise like crazy. I tried to use the special again here. I'm not sure why. And also, I did talk about how Shift GOROTH, he's got good break. However, Galanova has such a high break bar. Even though I did build a little bit for break for this fight, we weren't able to take advantage of it. Although, couldn't stop Galanova's final attack, so this is not a no-death clear. However, all things considered, it was a very, very easy run for the fight in general with just a 2-man party of 2 permanent units. So, great showcase, great look for Shift GOROTH to help anyone struggling in that fight. And then finally, I wanted to have a little bit of fun and make an arena DPS build for Shift GOROTH. However, this is definitely a meme build. We're gonna see some painful things in these arena fights. For this first one, you know, we're testing waters. And there you go. While it's interesting how Shift GOROTH's S2 does follow whichever enemy you target, it followed Shift Baland right into absolute destruction. But here you go. The S3, I noticed, has very good utility in interrupting units that are basically flinchable after, you know, pirate ship legness effect goes away, or if someone's running Aldana Coliseum as well. That S3 can interrupt group and basically take a lot of these tanks out of guard, if I'm not mistaken, is what I was noticing. So the S3 does have some funny, pretty meta utility. Not saying Shift GOROTH is meta here in any way, just that it was very useful to get around the guard package and system that we know very, very well in Arena. So the main goal of this meme build, however, was to utilize Shift GOROTH's special, which you can see we're getting close to charging here. We go ahead and get it charged up and launch it. Once you can launch off a nice little Shift GOROTH special, this is what I'm talking about. Groups the enemies together and adds basically Slayer typing to all of these enemies, so Shift GOROTH gets those damage boosts no matter who you're fighting. So that was the idea behind this build, was use him, charge up the special as quickly as possible, group all the enemies together, put slayers on them, and then have SGoroth just spam his skills and hopefully hit all of the enemies at the same time. Here, SGoroth was able to tank whatever attack that was. I did want to fight a team with more of a defensive comp, and this is where you get to see SGoroth's interrupting guard with his S3 very nicely. I think I was getting a lay of the land here, I'm not sure, but making sure other enemies were alive. Here we go. We're going to group all of these units together and then use his S3 to suck these remaining tanks in and then just absolutely annihilate them. Very, very fun when you can pull off that little strategy. But as you saw there, I just like wasted an S3. His mobility, his skills do not lend him well in top tier arena climate. However, I must say, I was impressed, I was surprised, and it was quite fun making these arena showcases for GOROTH here. For this last arena fight, I did want to run an auto-only battle, just so you could see how horrible this unit truly is when you're talking about the general arena meta. Any time you want to see how great a unit can be, a lot of their performance, I'd say, for arena is how they perform on auto. Now, of course, you have to know how to manipulate the AI, which is one of the most challenging things in Last Cloudia in general. However, it definitely doesn't help that we built him to be played manually with the wanting of his special use, but still, I mean, you can just see, against a decently built arena defense, SGoroth does absolutely nothing for this battle right here. Quite painful. We get Tyria time stop heals. And this is how I imagine the majority of people's experience will go if they try to bring SGoroth into arena, even if they're playing in manual mode. So while we were able to accomplish what we set out to do using the special, grouping enemies up together, getting W's, this is more of the accurate representation of how I feel SGoroth would be in arena overall. That's going to do it for the spotlight on our gory homeboy, SGoroth. And man, oh man, when you use him in the right scenario, I promise you won't be disappointed in this unit. Despite all of the inconsistency and the damage going up and down and the caps everywhere and you don't know if you're hitting consistent damage or not, he can definitely perform when you need him to, especially versus multi-enemy fights and even against a very, I'd say, entry-level tough fight into the endgame status, that being Galanova. Works very well as someone who can take advantage of multiple mobs before you can actually start dealing damage to the enemy, the main boss, and it does make him very, very valuable in that case. So happy I could showcase that in these battles. In arena, use him at your own risk. You can have some fun with the memes, but definitely not something I'd recommend if you're trying to take arena seriously. Let me know what you guys think of GOROTH. Are there any other ways that you use him? Let me know in the comments below. That's all I got for you this time, guys. Like, subscribe, bell noties if you're new to the channel, and if you're new to Last Cloudia, make sure to check out my other videos to get familiar with the game so that you don't get lost in the sauce. This game is definitely an ocean of knowledge, so hopefully you're able to find useful information on my channel. With all that being said, y'all know what we say: work hard, play hard. See you in the next video.